Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Josie with Awakened Soul, and we are here for a pop-up reading. I hope you're all having an amazing day or night whenever you're watching this video here today. We are here for a pop-up reading about the last 24 hours in the connection with your specific person. So today's reading is going to be a specific message. This is also a timeless reading, so I trust that whenever it found you in divine timing when it was meant to. So quite possibly within 24 hours of a significant event with your specific person, a significant conversation, or maybe you've just been sensing that something has shifted very recently and you're seeking insight about what that might be. So today we're going to get started with the first spread I've gotten out for us, where we are going to be talking about the last 24 hours or so. After that, we are going to hop into the tarot, where I will be covering it a little bit more in detail, specifically from your person's point of view. So we will be covering their overall thoughts and feelings about you the last 24 hours, aside from what we make it out here in the first spread. And then, of course, as usual, I will also pull some channeled message cards, as well as tiles and charms for bonus confirmation and info. And then last but not least, as usual, I will seal off our reading with a short message for you and whatever you are needing to hear the most at this time. I ask that you'll bear with me a little bit during today's reading because I do have a little bit of a cold that I'm working through. So my nose, it's a little bit stuffy and I might have to clear my throat every once in a while. So I appreciate your patience in advance. Let's just hop right into it, you guys. Representing the last 24 hours, roughly, in this connection, we have the bridge, the river again, which was actually the first card that came out twice. We have the heart, the seed. We have these two cards from my Lover's Oracle deck, which I will flip when we're done chatting here so I can actually read the messages to you. Down here we have anticipation, embrace the sweet anticipation of love's arrival in your life, it's coming. And then actually up here with the Two of Cups, I wasn't planning on getting any tarot cards during our first spread, but as I went to set this deck down, it's sort of like, I don't know how to explain this. Somehow the corner of the deck hit the corner of this tarot deck and flipped like a half stack of cards upside down, and the Two of Cups was the top card. So I was like, okay, well, clearly that happened for a reason, and it's meant to be a part of today's message. So that's why we have an oddball tarot card here. But let's just hop into the message, you guys. Before I flip these over, I want to note, for some reason, the pinks are really standing out to me. When I do readings, I pay attention to a whole plethora of things, and one of them happens to be coloration. And I do feel as though the pinks that are coming through in this sort of triangle shape has something to do with your message, in the sense that we can sometimes associate the color pink with the heart chakra. We literally have the heart being represented over here. And one overarching message of today's reading seems to be a big well of emotional expression. So I feel like it's quite possible that you and your person have had a very emotional conversation with each other in the last 24 hours or so. Or if that's not the case, one or both of you are kind of deep in your feels over one another right now and might be thinking about how to approach a very heartfelt and emotionally expressive conversation. So take that how it resonates with your situation. I do feel as though for most of you out there, it probably is after a conversation has already happened, or over the last 24 hours or so, you and your person have been opening up a little bit more emotionally with each other. I do feel like this is something that has happened between the two of you in the 3D, and that it was very much mutual. I'm feeling called during today's reading to actually read the river to you from the guidebook. simply because this was one of those situations where at first when I started shuffling out, the river kind of wanted to pop out, but it didn't, and then it ended up actually coming out later on as I was shuffling as the very first card of the entire spread here. Not only that, but it came out as a secondary note in my mini archetype deck as well as the first card. So I feel as though the river is kind of like the most dominant energy between you and your person the last 24 hours or so. And I'd like to kind of read that passage from the book to you just to further kind of lock in that message for you. In case you're unfamiliar with these decks, they're by Kim Krans. And I really enjoy her work and how she writes. She has a really good way of putting things. So on occasion, I do like to cite the book almost verbatim for you. So we're going to do that here today. Just give me a second. In case you're new to the channel, I was displaced due to a hurricane and major flooding damage. So I lost my big guidebook and now I have like this little mini one to work with. So just give me a second because the print is super tiny. But I do find it important to read this to you guys. So with the river, we have the stream, the flow, and the current. There is a reason so many rituals of change and rebirth take place in the river. It is forgiveness embodied in physical form. Without asking anything in return, the river washes away what is no longer necessary, soothing over sharp edges and accepting all our mistakes and grievances. Once we step in, we are no longer in control. The river carries us further down the stream of transformation than we planned to go. Its waters have a special gift for reflecting back to us a new and dreamlike vision. Once the tears have passed, we see ourselves as we haven't before, with a little more lightness, grace, and fluidity. Keep in mind, the you that stands within the river is the real you, full of deep emotion and potential, nothing to hide, nothing to judge. May you drink in the sight of your true self. When we have this energy in balance, we have acceptance, grace, reflection, and forgiveness, okay? And I do feel as though this is a balanced energy between you and your person. Maybe prior to the last 24 hours or so, it was actually out of balance between the two of you. When it's out of balance, we have torment of emotions, flooding, and overwhelm, okay? So just based on the other cards that are coming out here, particularly anticipation and the seed, which have a synchronizing like key element between each other, I feel like maybe there had been some heavy emotional buildup between you and your specific person, where maybe one or both of you in this connection were holding on to some pretty heavy resentment towards each other, or there were grievances that had not been talked about. There could have been some heaviness between the two of you, where it seems like more than likely both of you had been building up some animosity towards each other. And I believe probably within the last 24 hours or so of you finding this reading, something pretty dramatic has shifted in the dynamic, where maybe instead of holding on to those deep resentments towards one another, there's been some sort of expression and forgiveness of those things. Whether it was the two of you actually like sitting down and talking about it and laying all the cards on the table and working through those problems as a team, or whoever was feeling the grievance, whoever was feeling the resentment may have just sort of naturally let it go, set it free, and actually forgave the other person. And I'm just really picking up on a strong mirroring energy here. So I do feel as though for both of you, there were some things left unsaid that you had been kind of tucking away or burying away and not expressing to the other. And that there was a very important conversation that happened, or you can kind of feel this build up to it, okay? Since this is a general reading, it's going to resonate different for everyone, as usual with general tarot readings. So for some of you, if you're like, hey, Josie, we haven't had that conversation, but I feel this buildup of energy, it's more than likely that this energy that you're feeling right now over the last 24 hours is leading to this conversation, if it hasn't happened already. And I feel like you would most definitely know if you and this person have had this conversation, okay? So take it how it resonates with your situation. If you are still in this anticipation type of energy where you feel this buildup, you feel this heaviness, like almost as if you can't take it anymore, you just have to spill the beans. It seems like this is like it's building right now to lead to the conversation, okay? But there's definitely an important heart-to-heart conversation that is coming in this connection if it hasn't already. And I think for most of you watching, it's more than likely when this reading found you that you've already had this conversation, and this is just confirmation for you that your person feels the same way that you do. There's just a strong mirroring energy here. I think both you and your person had this buildup of unspoken energy towards one another, and it's kind of like all flowing out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's been a lot of heaviness in this connection lately, and it's almost like the floodgates have opened, you've forgiven each other, and something now just feels a lot lighter in this connection. And maybe for a while, you felt this like intensity growing and growing and growing. Like it was almost as if there was some type of buildup, like you knew something was going to give, you knew something was going to break, almost reminiscent of like a dam analogy where it's kind of like you could feel like the dam about to burst open. Like there was so much pressure, there was so much intensity and energy building up that it's kind of like something's gonna give. You knew this was going to happen, where like everything was going to come pouring out. It could even be that maybe this conversation started as an argument or some kind of a fight because there had been so much energy building and brewing between you and this person, that it all kind of came pouring out at once. And then at the end of it, it seems like there was actually a much lighter energy that came from it, because there's a very deep emotional energy coming from the cards that's talking about partnership and connection and like an opening of the heart, okay? And again, heart-to-heart conversations. It seems like you and this person are working as a team with one another. There's something about teamwork, and really like honest heart-to-heart connection. Let's flip over the Lovers Oracle cards now, because those are the ones that we haven't really fully talked about yet. I just usually like to show you the artwork on them first, because honestly the artwork on these cards are beautiful. I'll show you the second one as well. Maybe some of these symbols are meaningful to you in this connection. We have manifesting miracles. Your dream is soon to become reality. Trust your heart and continue to follow its guidance. Okay, and then down here we have trust. Imagery on this card. Maybe you and this person were embracing, had a very nice embrace with each other. Trust. Transformation occurs through acceptance. Once you accept the current situation, it will automatically transform. So maybe someone in this connection had broken the other one's trust, or both of you were struggling with some sort of trust issues prior to this conversation, or again, if the conversation hasn't quite happened yet. Trust issues are like feeling very pressed right now. There's a lot of pressure on that sector of your connection, and you feel like there's going to be a big release soon. This buildup of energy has been so intense. I really feel like maybe a lot of these issues had come from external pressures. So it's quite possible that maybe you and your person had been feeling a lot of outside pressures to the connection itself, which is just adding pressure to this connection. And maybe you and this person had found it very difficult to be open emotionally with each other because of all of the other external things going on. And there's like, basically, I'm just seeing a big release. If I could quote this entire reading in one word, it would be with the word release, okay? I wouldn't be shocked if maybe this found you around the time of a full moon. I'm actually recording it a few days after a full moon, so I don't know, maybe for some of you out there, you will find this reading shortly after like the next full moon or something like that. But full moons are all about release, forgiveness, purging, and they can often be very emotional times. If you know, you know. A lot of my friends and I talk about this all the time, but for some reason, within the 72 hours or so of a full moon, it seems like emotions are through the roof. The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like sky high. So maybe there's just a lot of emotional tension going on or buildup, and it almost feels like all of that buildup, all of that anticipation is coming to this great purge, this great forgiveness and release, okay? And I see a really bright and lighthearted energy coming after this great purge, right? And there's something about communication being really important. So I do think that it involves this heart-to-heart conversation with each other, where maybe you've been building up on a lot of things. You've been misunderstanding each other. There's just been a lot of miscommunication, or lack of communication all the way around that's come to a close. And now you and this person feel like you've laid it all out on the table. And there's this newfound lighthearted energy that's come from that. Especially after a time of what appears to be a very erratic, staticky, anticipatory energy that had been building and building and building. So I wouldn't be surprised if you and your person are currently on really good terms with each other because you've been able to release and fully let go of what you've been holding on to for a while. So, and maybe it's something that you both had been trying to manifest, especially since it feels like this energy of needing to talk, needing to express, and get like everything off your chest had been building for so long. Maybe that was something you and your person had been like really trying to manifest, this conversation or this expression to happen, so you could kind of let go of all of that pressure you both have been feeling. Okay, so let's hop into the tarot. I'm going to get a little bit more specific about their thoughts and feelings about you the last 24 hours. Aside from what we've already gotten out, we've kind of just been talking about the dynamic as a whole. My goal here is to show you your person's side of the story, what specifically they've been thinking about and feeling involving you and your connection the last 24 hours or so. Okay, so we have the Two of Pentacles coming out as the very first card, as well as Justice. Wow. So we have two very synchronistic messages coming through with those two cards, and basically it's just balance, right? It seems like more than likely you and this person have already had this conversation, and your person now feels like something has harmonized, something has come into balance. There's equilibrium here. If your person had any type of grievances that they had been holding on to, any type of resentments or heavy energy, maybe they feel like they've finally been able to speak their piece, and maybe you've come to this mutual understanding with one another where there's now that balance, there's that forgiveness. This person felt like they could finally speak their mind and like release any type of grievance or resentment that had been building up. And maybe they felt the same way about you too. Like, again, I'm seeing like a mutual conversation here where maybe you spoke your mind, you had some things you also wanted an apology for or to get off your chest, and this person seems to have understood that they needed to hear you out as well. And maybe they made a big apology to you or something like that. Let's get out a couple more cards. Yeah, they feel as though something has been turned around here in this connection. Could be that maybe this connection, again, was building up into something that was feeling heavy. It wasn't feeling very good to either one of you. Yeah, they just showed me the Ten of Swords to confirm that. There was something about this connection that was feeling really painful, really heavy. I think both of you were holding on to these resentments towards one another, and something in the last 24 hours, from your person's perspective, has turned things around, and it's now spinning in the right direction again. There's a lot more balance, there's forgiveness, there is a lighthearted energy that's come from this connection. So I'm seeing a lot of positivity here. Let's get a couple more cards out. Talk to me about this person's thoughts and feelings about you and this connection the last 24 hours or so. The last 24 hours or so. Okay. You know, that would make a lot of sense too. I'm not going to elaborate on it too much just because that's kind of how I run my channel here. But it could also be that there was like another type of release, if you get what I'm saying. Maybe you and your person were able to have like some kind of like passion with each other, some sort of physical intimacy. That's about all I'm going to elaborate on here today, but it's quite possible that that is the case with the Devil card coming out. Another takeaway from that is that it just feels like, yeah, this heaviness, like your person really had like a strong heaviness attached to them, and it seems like that's been let go of. It's actually funny because when this card like popped out for me to pull it, I saw only the top 3 pentacles here. And so it actually shocked me when I pulled it like all the way out, because it like popped 90% of the way out. And it was actually the 5 of Pentacles, because to me that's talking about your person feeling like there's mutual burden. So I'm almost reading this card as the 3 and 5 of Pentacles, where you and this person, from your person's perspective, both felt very burdened, very heavy, maybe abandoned or emotionally neglected in this connection, and are now working as a team to repair that damage. If you're wondering whether or not your person cares for you and cares about your side of the story and how you feel in this connection, I can tell you that they really truly do care. Even if they have a bit of an ego or pride and they don't always like to admit it, I think that they have a tendency to get a little bit extra and feel extreme, even from your perspective. They might have a tendency to, I don't know how to put this, you guys, like, maybe they try their best to act like things don't bother them, but they really do. That's what I'm getting here. So let's say in the past you've tried to bring up a grievance or something like that. Maybe this person has a tendency to act like they're unbothered about it or something like that, but deep inside they really don't like the idea of hurting you or bothering you or causing any type of grievance in this connection. And so I just feel like now they see this lightheartedness that's come from it, because it's almost as if both of you have kind of laid it all out on the line. You've talked about things, and you're working through that. You're healing it together, at least from their perspective. They don't feel so abandoned anymore, and they also feel as though you're not there either. Like you feel, there's something about your person just really feeling like things have been equalized, like both of you are heard, both of you are seen, and have gotten the apologies you need and have been able to speak your piece with each other, and things are finally leveling out again. That's basically what I'm seeing here from your person's perspective. And it's interesting that this was the one card that's been left behind. Also, by the way, we do have Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and Leo. And that's interesting because these are the fixed signs. Maybe you and your person are both fixed signs, or there's something about that that's significant to you. It's interesting, actually, that with the Wheel of Fortune, they would choose the fixed signs as the symbols on the card, because in my head it should be mutable signs because things are shifting, changing, but fixed signs stay like firm in place, right? So maybe you and your person were quite stubborn or something like that, and there's just been a great turnaround from that, where now you're seeing eye to eye again. That's interesting. I kind of want to unpack that. A little bit deeper. If you even just look at the symbolism on this card, we have the moon phases. I don't know if I've ever seen a Wheel of Fortune card like using the moon cycles, the moon phases, to depict the turnaround and the change. And at the very top here, of course, we do have the full moon. So maybe you and your person are both very much impacted by lunation, by the different lunar phases and cycles. So I feel like you would know that, though. I personally, again, I know that I am. I've talked to several of my friends who say the same thing, where you can kind of feel the energy building and building and building, particularly around the time of the full moon, before the great like release of that energy happens. But anyway, I don't want to just dive too deep into that. What we're going to do next is get out some messages from your person, things that they've wanted to say over the last 24 hours, maybe some things they have said to you, or things that they chose to keep inside that they wanted to say. Again, we're going to stick with today's general energy of the last 24 hours coming from your person's perspective. Things they've wanted to say, things they've said, so on and so forth. Let's get one or two more out. Okay. Wow. All right, we'll see if I can get one more out. What else would this person have to say? All right, so there's a lot to unpack here, and honestly, it goes right on par with the rest of the reading here, you guys. We have inseparable. Our love is always there, despite the distance. Secrets. I haven't told you everything. Neglected. I failed to give you what you need. And irreplaceable. The way you love can never be matched. So maybe these are some elements that came out during this conversation. And it could even be that for some of you out there, these are things that your person didn't fully elaborate on. I think mostly right here with the secrets card, it's mostly about bottled up feelings and these resentments, right? Where maybe this person had been bottling up their feelings or things that had been bothering them for a while. And during this conversation, they finally spilled the beans, essentially, where they let it all loose. They let everything that had been building up go, and now they're feeling a lot better because of that. They don't feel like they have to keep it locked inside anymore. Maybe they admitted to you that they hadn't been like showing up 100% in this connection. If you had felt like emotionally, like not necessarily like full on neglected, but like maybe you felt like you weren't being heard or seen or fully understood, or maybe this person had been lacking in their emotional expression lately and it was leaving you feeling hurt or wounded in some way. Maybe they finally admitted to that, or told you that they would do what they could to like work through that. It seems to me like between the two sandwiched cards here of inseparable and irreplaceable, that this person more than likely had admitted to you that they view this love, this connection as something unique and special, something that they don't want to lose, something that feels like it could stand the test of time, and that they have an honest desire to work through any issues, to keep things going in a good direction versus continuing to allow these resentments or these issues to build and build and build, okay? So to me, this is really just talking about the conversation that you and your person more than likely had with each other, where you really were laying it all on the line. This person seemed to have brought a lot of emotional expression to the table, and it was all very genuine. And again, if you're watching this and this conversation hasn't happened yet, I feel like it's coming very soon for you. This is something your person has been experiencing the last 24 hours, and they're gearing up for this conversation. They know that it needs to happen. They know they need to come in like with a true heart here, okay? Let's get out one or two more cards. What else did this person have to say, please? Maybe this person also felt like you weren't fully understanding them. Again, it seems like there's just a lot of mirroring going on here in this connection, where maybe you were feeling emotionally neglected or misunderstood, and your person actually was too. I don't think that this was like a one-sided thing. I think both of you had been left feeling a little bit burnt or scorned. And so it was kind of like due time for the two of you to have this conversation and to really feel understood. We also have you intimidate me. Maybe this person was a little scared to bring certain things up to you. Yeah, because they've been hiding it. All right. I can't ignore the fact that we do have a couple of subtle notes that maybe your person is still hiding something from you. I know that sometimes That can get a little scary when we're watching a tarot reading because we're instantly like, oh no, what is it? Is it a third party? What's going on here? But I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's something negative. It's just your person might be keeping a secret from you because it's just not time to tell you yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into an extended after this where we're going to cover what the secret is aside from what they already have talked to you about during this last 24-hour time period, essentially. If there are any other secrets that they're still holding on to, I will pick that apart for you in the extended or elaborate on this conversation a little bit. Whatever wants to come out. I'm not going to force any messages, but I am going to hop into the extended for that. We also have prioritize yourself and I'm coming back. To me, that talks about like their old self, right? I don't necessarily think that this is a connection. Actually, you know what? It very well could be. This could be a person from your past where the two of you had gone separate ways for a while and they're returning. I think this is at best and at most, excuse me, you guys, it's the morning. I just feel like there's like a big return. Again, there's been a big purge, there's been a release, regardless of whether or not this is a person from your past returning or like your current person, the person you're currently talking to. I think there's a return of the old self coming in. And like the resentful self is leaving. This person cares about you. They want you to keep working on yourself and bettering yourself as well. We also have I'm sorry. Okay, so again, there's been a lot forgiven, a lot released. I wouldn't be surprised if they literally did say I'm so sorry to you in this conversation. So what I'm going to do next is give you another second to reread the messages, and then we're going to hop into the tiles and charms before I do the extended on picking apart the secrets a little bit more. But for most of you out there, I do think that these secrets mostly just involve this person like building up their feelings, building up this energy for a long time and not like just coming clean about it and expressing to you and finally doing that over the last 24 hours. Let's get out some tiles, some charms. Okay. All right, so we have W-U-R-U. I just heard, where are you? That's interesting. We have K-H-D-H-S. Another W, interesting. And then we have an X. Okay. You know, guys, I'm not really seeing anything. If you see any words, you're welcome to comment down below for the collective. Maybe like saxophone. We also have wax. Yeah, I'm not going to hop into that too much. We're going to hop into the charms. You might see their initials there, yours, or again, important words to the connection. Maybe the two of you were like listening to music together, like jazz music, because we do have sax, like saxophone coming out, as well as a guitar. So maybe you went to a place that was playing live music or something like that. Or music could just be really important for this connection. There could have been music playing between the two of you over the last 24 hours or so while you were talking. And that was like helping to set the tone and the atmosphere. Maybe you even discussed music together. I just looked up and saw 3333 on the timer. So if this is resonating with you, drop 333 down below in the comments. Also, by the way, don't forget to hit the like button if you've been enjoying it. It helps me as a reader. And if you're new to the channel, I'd love it if you'd subscribe as well and stick around for more readings in the future. But anyway, maybe you were like listening to music and eating or something like that. There was more sweetness expressed in this connection. With the black cat here, that's also talking to me about like intuitive communication. Maybe instead of like leaving things to be communicated intuitively, purely, like things were just actually spoken out loud between you and this person, where there were no more guessing games or anything like that. Again, I'm really just seeing a conversation where you laid it all out on the line, which created a big change in this connection for the better. I feel like both of you got to speak your piece. Both of you are feeling a lot better, and there's more harmony now. What we're going to do next is get you your messages from the universe and Your affirmation of the day. As always, if you want to claim the affirmation, you can comment it down below or read it aloud with me. This could relate to this connection or not. I always leave it open for you and whatever you need to hear the most. Focus on what is important to you. Don't give your time or energy to your worries, as this would only amplify them. Focus on what matters most to you. With every thought, you are creating your future. And your affirmation is, today I am grateful. Today my heart is filled with joy. I see the positive in everything today. Beautiful. You guys, I am going to leave this reading here now. I want to thank you all so much for joining. For those of you who will be joining us over for the extended, again, in the extended, we're going to cover more in depth of what these secrets are. If there's anything left your person has to say that they didn't say. I'll basically just pick that apart in any way that I can and see what information needs to come out for you. And if you're leaving me here, I want to thank you again for being present for today's reading. You guys are absolutely amazing. I hope you know that, and I would love to see you around for a future reading on the channel. Have a blessed rest of your day, and until next time, bye for now.